It's time for No Pad Sports Talk. Stay tuned as two brothers bring you the latest from your Michigan teams and beyond in hockey, baseball, football, and more. Let's get started. Here are your hosts, JD and Steve.
Welcome to another episode of No Pad Sports Talk on a Lions Victory Sunday. I am one of your hosts, JD.
And I am Steve, and like JD said, the Lions got another win today.
I mean, it was a big win, huge win, blowout win.
Yeah. That's... What was our predicted score? Because I think I only said they were going to score 10 points for Carolina.
I as well said 10 points, but you said something like...
I think it was...
You had like 33 or something like that for
I think it was
Lions.
30-10 is what I picked.
And I did 24. Oh, yeah, you did say 30 because you had 6 more points than what I predicted. And I had 24. Yeah. You know, just for the record, right, I said that I thought the Lions were going to have more of a control the clock type of game, right? Lots of running the ball, controlling the clock. And so I thought that there'd be a lot fewer possessions. And I said, unless they have some big plays, that's what I thought they were going to do. And they had big plays. So, and they scored a lot off turnovers. They had short fields a lot of the time because the defense held strong at the beginning of the game. Just an overall dominant effort. So I'm happy to be wrong.
Well, absolutely. Right? But, we're looking at time of possession. It was pretty equal. 31 minutes for Detroit, 28 minutes for the Panthers. But the Lions played on a short field a lot in the first half.
Yep. So
scored pretty much at will in that first drive, right? 3 plays, 88 yards, touchdown. Like, I was just saying it before we got on here. I says if Lions fans turned the game on late, or if they were still getting to their seats, they would have missed that drive because it was just over a minute for them to score.
Yeah, it was.
So
and really, they scored a couple times pretty quick on that. After that turnover they had on that second interception, they had the kind of like the fake reverse end around flea flicker.
Flea flicker.
It says Sam Laporta. Like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Between those 2 interceptions that gave us the short field, I mean, they scored on that flea flicker one. That was really quick as far as the touchdown went, right?
Yeah, well, they tried actually going for the throat a couple times after the turnovers because after the first one, you could see Goff was looking to throw it deep, but he doesn't have anybody and ended up checking it down. You could tell he was getting ready to throw it, though. He was getting ready to wind up and throw it deep and then saw something and then went ahead and just checked it down. So
right.
But that's good, though, right? The change of possession and just attacking deep.
Absolutely. I mean, time of possession-wise, in their first 2 drives, they had 8 plays, went 100 yards, and only held the ball for 3.5 minutes. Well, almost 4 minutes, I guess. Right? Total time. And 2 touchdowns.
Right.
So, I mean, they did have a long drive. Actually, they had a long drive in the second quarter. And then they had a quick scoring drive, the flea flicker one for 31 yards, right? That was a 14-second time of possession. So,
and before we really get into much more of the game, I just want to give an update on the Chandler Zavala injury, just in case somebody out there hasn't heard yet. It was, of course, sports are awesome. We all, that's why we do this. We love talking sports and everything, but obviously any major injuries, definitely takes your breath away. You don't want to see anybody having a life-altering injury out there on the field.
Right.
And, Chandler Zavala had what they were calling a neck injury. He was out in the field for quite a while, 15, 20 minutes. I didn't really keep track, but it seemed like forever as they were, carefully trying to get him off the field and get him to a hospital. But so the good news is that right now, according to Carolina head coach Frank Reich, is that everything is checked out pretty good. He's got movement in all extremities, and it's very possible, according to what Reich was saying, that he'll even be able to take the plane home with his teammates. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a little concerning, obviously.
Oh, absolutely, because I messaged you right after I saw it, and I was looking at the play when they showed the replay, and I was like, it didn't even look like he got hit, like, in the head. You know what I mean? So unless it was the direct impact when he was coming lineman to lineman, but the way he fell, like, he looked limp. He didn't even look like he caught himself on the way down. And that was the part I thought was the most concerning, is just watching a guy fall like that and not be able to protect himself on the way down.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that was obviously, that was the quietest Ford Field was all game. Ford Field got rocking, but again, nobody wants to see, such a devastating injury. So I'm glad that everything's checking out okay, and hopefully, for he's a rookie. This is his first year in the NFL, right? So I was actually pretty high on Zavala as a guard coming out of college in this last draft. So hopefully he doesn't miss any time if he's able to do so.
Yep.
Just because obviously that just means the injury wasn't that serious. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Well, you made that eerie connection with a former
Lion, Mike Utley.
Yeah, with Mike Utley, that former Lion, when he did it and he had his thumbs up, as he was coming off the field. So it just neck injuries are just super scary because, when at live, when that was happening, it didn't look that impactful, right? And even in slow motion, it still didn't look like it was, but thankful that the guy's got movement, and I hopeful that the guy gets to, continue his career, get to take the plane home with his team, continue to get looked at for the next week.
And for those that don't know, Mike Utley, this was back in 1991 or something like that, where he had he actually got paralyzed on the field, from the waist down, and he was also a guard. He was also a pretty young player. It wasn't his rookie season, but I think it might have been like his second or third year in the league. And and he was paralyzed. So just being a guard, both times was at Detroit's home stadium. 91 was up there in Pontiac though, but still like there are just some connections there, and it was a little bit scary. But again, like I'm sure we all feel the same way. It's a relief that he's doing okay. But enough of that. Just wanted to update everybody if they didn't know. And let's get back to talking about Lions, because honestly, they deserve it, right? Like, that was a dominating win. Defense looked hungry. Defense looked great. Early on. I don't really want to talk about the fourth quarter and stuff, because that was all garbage time. Detroit was just playing, like really soft coverage and just not want to get, beaten deep. So all those garbage yards, I'm not really concerned about, right? I just want to look to see how they played, when they were actually playing their game plan. And,
right.
Wow, they were dominating. The defensive line kind of started off a little bit slow at the beginning. It don't look like they were quite generating the pass rush early on, and that quickly changed. And they started just beating the offensive linemen like crazy. I didn't agree with some of the calls that they had, with some of the roughing the passer calls. I just didn't think that some of those were warranted, especially the one on can't think of his name, but I didn't see. He landed on top of him. That's about all I really saw. Like, I don't know. I don't think it should have had a flag thrown on that play though. So
yeah, well, that's that part of that penalty when it's roughing is applying your entire body weight on top of the player. You watched Anthony Richardson today. If you guys had seen that game, that's pretty much what happened to him as he was going down. The guys fell on top of him, and I don't know if he broke his collarbone or just maybe dislocated his shoulder. Hopefully it's neither one of those and it's not quite that serious, and it's just, something a little less. But, that's kind of why they've instituted that rule because, and you got to think Anthony Richardson's like 250 pounds. He's not a little guy, right?
No.
So, but yeah, Lions look good. The first 3 quarters, they gave up 180 yards. The third quarter, they only gave up 8 net yards. So they had Carolina had a 17-yard drive and then a minus 9-yard drive. So in those first 3 quarters, they were just really super dominant. They were scoring pretty much whenever they wanted to. Their third down conversions weren't that great. They were like 4 for 10. I'd like to see a little bit more of that conversion on third down. But, when you're scoring on the first 3, when you score in the first 2 plays, I guess you don't ever have to make it the third down, right? But Montgomery looked fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
He is hitting the hole. He is exploding. It's not what I think we saw in the first couple of games. He's really come on since he came back from his injury. And, man, he's putting on a clinic as far as running the ball there. So I'm super impressed with that. My guy, Sam Laporta, I think this was his first multiple touchdown game. So he had 2 today. He did not get the 100 yards receiving that I was hoping for.
No, he did not. But the 2 touchdowns, though.
But 2 touchdowns. But like I said, I just assumed he was going to be the big outlet guy with everybody else hurt.
Right.
But Josh Reynolds stepped up.
8 different guys, though, right? I mean, so he only completed 20 passes to 8 guys. If every person caught 2 passes, that's already 16. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there really isn't like
I know
any guy that's going to get like a huge piece of that pie because 8 different guys.
Well, that's what we talked about in the preseason with the Lions because they had so many weapons, and they're only going to get so many plays, right? They only get 60 plays, and 30 of them were pass, 30 of them were rush. They were, again, super balanced again today when it comes to the run pass. Play action was working as it has.
Beautiful. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the Lions are doing what the Lions have been doing here this season and since in the last season, but they're 4-1, 4-1, brother.
I mean, what do you say about that, right? I mean, they look like the real deal. Next week, I know we'll talk about that later on, but next week they're definitely going to be tested going against Tampa Bay down in Tampa Bay. That's going to be a fantastic game. But it's and hopefully, obviously, this game resting those players, trying to help get them healthy. Hopefully, that makes a difference for us.
Absolutely. So it'd be nice, to get Gibbs back, get Amon-Ra St. Brown back. But the Lions have shown the next guy up thing works as long as you build your system correctly, right? Because with the injuries that we've had, it's been the next guy up. And we've been able to figure it out, right? And honestly, I still feel like we should be 5-0.
Yeah.
The Seattle game is still very upsetting. One day we're going to figure out how to stop those guys. But bottom line is I loved what I saw. But everything was working. The run game was working. The pass game was working. The offensive and defensive lines were doing what they needed to do. They were still flushing Bryce Young out, out of the pocket, kind of making a move and pulling him off his spot. So, and that's what our defense does.
Yeah.
So my guy, Anzalone, was the leading tackler.
That's yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to say who was the defensive player of the game, right? Specifically when you get a guy like Hutchinson, who I don't know how he caught that ball, that interception. I mean, he just looked like he just reached his mid out to block it and like stuck to his hand. And then he pulled it back in. And he's like, "Oh, I got a ball." Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now, about that though, right? Like in our pregame video we did, right? We talked about who we thought was going to be the players of the game. Defensively, you picked Anzalone and said he had the most tackles, and he does. And I predicted that Hutchinson was going to have. My guy was going to be Hutchinson. I thought he was going to have 2 sacks and like a pass defense. And I even called that the pass defense was going to be on screen pass. And he's just going to read it, come off the block and be able to bat it down. All that was true, except for it was an interception, just not a pass defense. And only 1 sack as opposed to 2. But I'll take it, though. He was definitely a beast and put on a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I would consider it still a pass defense, even though it's an interception, because he was still defending it.
Yeah, it just doesn't show up that way, right? And the stats.
It doesn't show up on the stat line that way, but in theory, that's what it was.
Right. And
but
yeah, the defense in general had a good game up until it came garbage time.
Yep. And I'd still like to see them play a little bit tighter. I know I've said this before. I'm just to keep your foot on the pedal, right? You can't let some teams back in it like that and allow them to score, because that just brings along the defense. Now, fortunately, that didn't happen today, right? But yeah,
I'm usually with you, brother, on that, right? Like we talked about it before, that's our personal conversations that we've had, and I think we might even talked about on the show. But I do think that most of the time that's correct. But when you're up by, like, even if they scored 2 touchdowns and 2 2-point conversions, they would still be down by a point, right? So I think that's in a situation like that. If you get beat deep and allow for a fast score, like that can change the entire outcome of the game. And we almost saw that today with Jacksonville. Right? Like Jacksonville wasn't up by that much against the Bills. And then one of the Bills' final drive, I mean, like 3 plays, touchdown, right? I mean, that allowed them back in it, right? Like if they would play a little bit more softer, like that was a possibility that maybe, those big plays wouldn't have happened, kept everything in front of them, maybe ate up some more clock. But they scored so fast that they still had a 2-minute warning, amongst other things, to wait to get the ball back. So I was rooting for the Jags in that scenario, so I'm really glad that they ended up winning. But, that can backfire on you in that situation too.
Oh yeah, absolutely it can. Especially when you talk about a team like the Bills. But I don't know. I don't like getting out of what's working. And I'm not all about stats. It's not just about the stats. We've seen the breakdown of the Lions in the past. Right?
Yeah.
And, I think about even in the Seattle game, we were playing soft, and let them come down, and they still scored. So, it's not what I would have done, but I can say that because I'm not getting paid to make that decision.
Like I said, I just think it depends on the situation. I mean, if you're up by 5 points or something like that, you probably don't want to play soft because you don't want to get, you don't want to allow them to even get close to the end zone, right? You want to try to stop them when you can. But again, being up by 17, where 2 touchdowns and 2 extra points or 2-point conversions doesn't even get you tied. Like, at that point, it's all about the game clock, and time is the opponent's biggest, adversary, I guess. I couldn't think of the word I wanted to use, but yeah, time would be the biggest adversary in a situation like that where you got to have literally 3 scores.
Yep.
And we talked about it before, right? Like, I don't know, 2 podcasts ago, whatever it was, I mentioned about the Falcons and the Patriots in that Super Bowl, where statistically, if the Falcons just would have kneeled it down every single play and punted away, that they had still had like some 90% chance to win the game. If that's all they did the entire second half, or whatever it was, or maybe just the fourth quarter. I forgot exactly what it was, but like sometimes you just you want to play those the odds. So
yeah, and just to kind of talk about the week itself, I know there's still a couple of games to play.
Yeah,
Cincinnati's offense actually looked a little better today. I think it looks like the Rams gave the Eagles all they could handle. It was a 23-14 win for the Eagles, so they're still, they still won, but it was still a close game. Chiefs and Minnesota's right now, 22 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and there's 27-20. Kansas City with Minnesota having the ball. They're at the Minnesota 31. So it looks like, I don't know if they're going to make it all the way down there, and the Jets are putting on they just scored 31 points with Zach Wilson, so I guess that's pretty much all.
Falcons won a close one against the Texans, 21-19.
CJ
Stroud had a pretty good game. Yeah,
had a fantastic, drove his team down there and put them in a position to win, and the defense couldn't stop the offense. So
yep. And we still gotta give credit to Desmond Ridder, because he threw for 329 yards, right? That's the best game I think I've ever seen him play in the NFL. So
it's definitely the best game we've seen in the last few games, right?
Steelers and the Ravens had a overall pretty good game. 17-10. Steelers came out on top. Patriots are looking like one of the worst teams in the NFL right now.
Oh my gosh, right?
Yeah. They're just looking
34
so bad.
A Bill Belichick team won. The defense let score 34 points on the backside of that. They couldn't score anything. They could not protect the quarterback at all.
No.
He didn't even have time to plant his back foot on his 3-step drop before they were in his face.
And listen to these stats by the Patriots quarterbacks, right? Mac Jones went 12 for 22, 110 yards, 2 picks, no touchdowns.
Yeah.
So they replaced him with Bailey Zappi towards the end of the game, and he only went 3 for 9 with 22 yards.
Yeah.
Oh, the Patriots are looking so bad. Rushing the ball, Stevenson had 3 yards carrying average. Ezekiel Elliott had 2.6. I don't know, man. This is some of the worst football I've ever seen the Patriots play.
Yeah.
So,
and it's I think that's hard for everybody to see, right? Because it's just, in the last 25 years, what we're seeing from the Patriots is not anything we've ever seen from the Patriots.
No, they need a quarterback, man. At this point, if you're the Patriots, let me rephrase that. If you're a Patriots fan, you just have to hope for a bad season so you can grab one of the best quarterbacks in this next coming draft, because the quarterback play has just been horrendous.
Yeah. And if Carolina doesn't, right now they're still winless.
Yeah.
So obviously I can't imagine they're going to go back-to-back years and pick a quarterback.
I can't imagine that either.
And Bryce Young he looks good. He's smart.
He's getting better every week.
Absolutely. So the more reps he gets, he's playing well. I just, when it comes to the rookie quarterback play, there's just nobody that's, the standard now is looking at C.J. Stroud, who's thrown 160, whatever it was, 66, 68 passes to start his career and hasn't thrown an interception yet. I'm gonna knock on wood for him.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I don't want to be the guy that jinxed the man, but
no, C.J. Stroud's looking so good, man.
He,
and
he's
I'm
moving
happy for the guy. I'm happy.
Yeah, and if you watch the game or watch any play, watch it. He knows where everybody is supposed to be, and he's like, hey, you're in the wrong spot, and he's moving people where they need to be. He's calling out, protections. Well beyond his years. How's that?
And I think that C.J. Stroud is the perfect person to point to and say the Wonderlic test is pointless. Because
it's pointless.
So many towards the draft, right? Like I forgot what his score was, but it wasn't very good on that test. And there's a lot of people like, well, I don't know if we can draft him that high because look at his test scores, right? He had a pretty low test score, but look, his football IQ, phenomenal. That's all that matters.
Through the roof,
right? Like so and I love the guy. I do. Like I think he is he's gonna be a star in this league for years to come. He's doing so good.
How's this? After the first start of his season, that's who I started in my fantasy football league against you today. Right? That's how much faith I had in his ability. Now, he didn't score quite as high as he has in the first 4 games because he didn't throw for 300 yards like he has. Mm-hmm. But he did a very good job. So
now you mentioned earlier about the Bengals as well with their offense looking better. And I don't know if you heard the rumor or not. You probably did, but I know we didn't talk about it anyways. That Jamar Chase was rumored that he was asking for a trade out of the Bengals because he had a little scuffle, we'll call it, I guess, with the head coach. And so he's just like, look, I want out. And today they fed him the ball. 15 receptions, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yep. Yeah,
So,
since we're talking about players who wanted out from where they were, the Colts gave Jonathan Taylor the money that he asked for. So to me, when you have a man sign the contract as soon as you come off the PUP list, to me, all that crap about putting him on the PUP list, they were just lying.
of course they were.
The team was just whatever, right? And because there was I don't ever see any rumors of them talking about contracts, right? During that time, over the last 4 weeks, there was none of that. None of that. And then all of a sudden, the day they activate him off the PUP list, he signs a contract extension with $26 million guaranteed.
And his first game back, Zach Moss, who's been filling in for Jonathan Taylor, goes off with 23 carries for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, Zach Moss was a guy I liked when he was in Buffalo. And now he's with the Colts. He's getting an opportunity to play out there, and man, is he's showing up.
Yeah, he does not want to give up that job. I mean, he's just like, no, man, this is mine. It was,
And if they got 2 guys who can actually do that, they're going to be a tough team to game plan for. Especially if Anthony Richardson comes back, and we all know how much he can run the ball. So
now, and while we're talking about people going off, I know we were talking about the Jets against the Broncos, right? Jets won by 10, 31-21. Zach Wilson looked at least competent. He almost had 200 yards passing, no touchdowns, 1 pick. But Breece Hall, a lot of stuff was made of Breece Hall because he ended up getting injured last year, but he was looking good up until the injury. 22 carries, 177 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the guy who he was. That's what we saw before he got hurt last year.
Yep.
That's why I drafted him as a rookie. That's why I'm good for him. Good for him. And honestly, good for Jets and Jets fans. Because, up until that point, they didn't have a whole lot to cheer about. So, it's a good game for them.
Cooper Kupp makes his return. First game back. He got 8 catches for 118 yards. And Puka didn't quite do what he's been doing, but he had 7 receptions for 71 and a touchdown.
Yep.
So he still
Tutu
did well.
Atwell still had a touchdown.
Yeah.
And contributed to that game. So, there's a lot of young players.
Well, how about Devon Shane, right? Another game in which he's just busting his big long runs. He had 11 carries for 151 and a touchdown. And the guy is just, he's a TD machine. And Miami just has nothing but speed on their team between, Devin Shane, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. Like, it's crazy.
And according to, I think it's A-Chain. A-Chain? Yeah. But that guy, holy crap, is he fast.
Yeah, he is.
They were saying, I was watching NFL Red Zone, and Scott Hansen said that the top 7 fastest speeds that have been recorded in the NFL this year were all Dolphins players on touchdown runs.
Yeah. I mean,
that's a scary team because if you get them in space, watch out. Just watch out.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tyreek Hill had 8 catches for 181 today and a touchdown, right? Like, again, that team, it's like, you almost have to play like a 3 deep safety set like the entire time just to prevent, Hill and Waddle and stuff like that from getting behind you. But then you just leave yourself open for, a chain to like run all over you. Like, it's just, they're scary. They're scary.
Yeah. Because even Mostert, I mean, look at what they're doing. Jalen Waddle, I thought he had 5 catches for 35 yards and a touchdown, but 9 target. Tyreek Hill had 9 targets and caught 8 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just ridiculous. Because they're double teaming him. You're putting a safety over top. And if you're kind of, you might not, shouldn't be a defensive coordinator in the NFL.
I mean, the Dolphins are just looking so good. So,
yeah.
I mean,
they are a scary team. They're a scary team.
I know we're kind of getting off track a lot. We're talking about different teams, but I mean, like this, the draft that just happened, all these rookies balling out. This is one of the best drafts that I think that there's ever been.
Absolutely. Because all of the rookie running backs seem like they're doing well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Robinson had another good game. The receivers are playing well. And they're like their number 1, number 2 guy on their team.
Mm-hmm.
It just, all in all, we could be looking at one of the greatest drafts ever. If these guys can continue to play and ball out the way they have, this could be one of the greatest drafts that we've ever seen.
I mean, it's saying
from both sides of the
ball.
ball.
There's a long ways to go, but But I mean, what we're seeing so far from the rookies is so impressive.
Yep.
And it seems like all the rookies in like almost in every category, like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Like it seems like there's a guy in one of those positions that's a rookie that's setting all kinds of records. Like every game's like a new record. It's incredible. Yeah. But man, I don't know. like we kind of got sidetracked, talking about other teams and the Lions, but I know we're mainly a Detroit channel with we're talking about the Lions and stuff like that, but I mean honestly, there's not a ton more to say about the Lions, right? Because they just dominated. It was a great win. It was fun to watch.
Yep.
But that's kind of what we expected. I mean, the Panthers are the Panthers. They're winless for a reason.
Yep.
The defensive line did, put some pressure on Goff today, and that's kind of what we expected. We expected, that defense to kind of pressure Goff because that's what they're good at doing. But other than that, like, there really wasn't any negatives for the Lions today. Everything was just positive.
It was just everything seemed to work. And again, I if I want to nitpick, because the Lions are at that point now, we could nitpick.
Sure.
They need to be able to get off the defense needs to be able to get off the field after on third down.
Yeah. And penalties.
Right? The Panthers weren't great on third down, but they were better than we were on third down.
Yep.
So I want to, make sure we got to work on getting off the field on third down and get the ball back into our playmakers. And honestly, I can say that, but even on defense, we have playmakers.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should make Hutchinson a tight end and put him and Laporta on either end. with his hands, the way he's got some soft hands because that ball. He was pretty close to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying that'd be kind of freaky to see both those two tall guys on either end running up the seam, and you get a choice. Where's the safety gonna go?
Yeah, I'm okay with him staying on defense. He's too valuable.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But
But I get your point. He's good at catching the ball for a big defensive lineman. Yeah.
How many interceptions does he have? And he's only been doing this a year and a half.
3? Is he up to 3 now?
3 or 4?
Yeah. I can remember 3. Let's see. There he is.
He has 4.
He has 4. Yeah, I don't remember the 4th, but yeah.
That's okay.
He had 3 last year. Jeez. Oh, and then did you see a stat today too about this? The first time the Lions had 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. It's the first time since like the 40s or whatever it was. Like,
oh wow,
it was a long time since that's happened.
Yep. But I'm still, the Lions are keeping me on the excited side.
Mm-hmm.
So, even when we did our picks, like rank the teams or what tier they were at, I didn't put them up there. Like I wanted to put them in that A group. I really did. But I'm trying to stay level-headed a little bit and all right, let's keep them in that B for right now. Let's see what we got in a couple more games when we play some tougher teams.
See, and they're already an A team for me, and the main reason behind all that is I just don't know, like if you match them up to other teams, I don't know if there's many teams that Vegas would put the odds in favor of their team versus the Lions, right? I think the Lions would be favored and pretty much against every team on a neutral field, because that's kind of how you have to look at it, as on a neutral field, where neither team actually has home field advantage. But so if the Lions, so I was trying to look when they're doing the ranking system, everybody in the S tier, I think might be favored versus the Lions, but everybody that was below that, I don't think they would be.
Yeah. Well, I made up my top B tier team. But It's good. Next week will be tough for the Lions. I know we're going to talk about that later this week, but you got the Buccaneers coming off a bye week, so they've had a couple of weeks
of time to prepare. Yeah.
Yep. And again, they're playing in Tampa, so if it gets hot down there, it's going to be different. Guys are going to need to stay hydrated. So.
Yep. But anyways,
right.
it was good to watch. Love the game, and stay tuned because we're still planning on doing that Detroit Tigers stuff.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that, and go Lions, right?
Go Lions.
Appreciate you watching. Any sort of comments you can leave. Appreciate it. Like and share. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening to No Pads Sports Talk. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, help spread the word by leaving a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at No Pads Sports Talk.